This thin, crooked, uncircumcised penis.
Sensitive about the way he looks. He doesn't like to be stared at. He told me one time that if a picture was made of him, it would be permanent proof that he was ugly. He told me that one time.
Took a lot of strong nylon cord to get her away from him. Because she was a fighter as well as being a Georgia peach.
Anyway, I told your boss to send a man, and he won't talk to a woman.
Shovel just makes too goddamn much racket.
They're women. Can you talk to them? They're women. They're women. They're women.
You have to make something explode to truly understand it. You have to examine the tiny particles while they're still on fire. Carl, I gotta take you down to the old classroom.
What you want to know is how come me to kill somebody, so I reckon I'll start at the front and tell you. I lived out back of my mother and father's house most of my life, in a little old shed that my daddy built for me. They didn't too much want me up there in the house with the rest of them. I mostly just sat out there in the shed or looking at the ground. I didn't have no floor. But I had me a little old hole dug out to lay down in. Had me a quilt or two to put down there. My father was a hard-working man most of his life. Not that I can say the same for myself. I mostly just sat out there in the shed and tinkered around with a lawnmower or two. Went to school off and on from time to time. But the children down there, they made quite a bit of sport of me. Fun of me quite a bit. Some of them roughed me up sometimes. So mostly I just sat out there in the shed. My daddy worked down there at the sawmill, down at the planer mill for an old man named Dickson. Old man Dickson was a very cruel feller. Didn't treat his employees very well. Didn't pay them too much of a wage. Didn't pay my daddy much of a wage. Just barely enough to get by on, I reckon. But I reckon he got by all right. They used to come out, one or the other of them, usually my mother, and feed me pretty regular. So I know he at least got by well enough to where I could have mustard and biscuits 3 or 4 times a week. Well, old man Dickson, he had a boy named Jesse Dickson. Jesse was really more cruel than his daddy was. He made quite a bit of sport of me and taking advantage of the young girls in the neighborhood quite a bit. They used to say that my mother was a very pretty woman. They used to say that quite a bit from time to time when I was down there at the schoolhouse. And anyway, I reckon you want me to go and tell you what happened, so I reckon I'll tell you. I was sitting out there in the shed one evening, not doing too much of nothing, just kind of staring at the wall, waiting on my mother to come out and give me my Bible lesson. And I hear the commotion up there in the house. So I run up on the screened-in porch there, looked in the kitchen window, and I seen my mother laying there on the floor. That ain't clothes on him. And Jesse Dickson was laying on top of her, having his way with her. Yeah. Well, I just seen red. I picked up a Kaiser blade that was sitting there on the porch. Some folks called it a sling blade. I call it a Kaiser blade. It's just a long wood handle, kind of like an axe handle. Long blade on it, shaped kind of like a banana. Sharp on one edge and dull on the other. It's what the highway boys used to cut down the weeds and whatnot. Well, I went in the kitchen there and I hit Jesse Dickson upside the head with it and knocked him off my mother. Well, I don't reckon that quite satisfied me. So I hit him again with it in the neck with a sharp edge and just plumb near cut his head off. Killed him. My mother, she jumped up in there and she started hollering, "What'd you kill Jesse for? What'd you kill Jesse for?" Well, come to find out, I don't reckon my mother minded what Jesse was doing to her. I reckon that made me better than what Jesse had made me. So I taken this Kaiser blade. Some folks call it a sling blade. I call it a Kaiser blade.